friends, welcome back to my home. Welcome back to my rocket mass heater. I'm Esther Emery, and this is the Skill of the Month Club, in which we go over one homesteading skill each month to build our skills for simple living, self-sufficiency, and just being the best, most capable people that we possibly can be. Today we're wrapping up month 3, which was garden soil and seeds, and I'm making a transition in my schedule, my seasons, from my winter time of really having a lot of time to sit in front of a camera and do research and planning and design into the time of action for me. So I will be going back into an older schedule. We'll definitely have chats every Tuesday, but often my Thursdays will be talks, will be conversations, will be ideas rather than tutorials, and hopefully I'll be putting up just one skill each weekend to help us to have recipes or actual procedures or something that you can really get in and do each weekend. So hopefully it will be just 3 videos per week. That's just a little housekeeping that I needed to do, as this last month it's been like drinking from a fire hose. We've had all sorts of different wonderful people giving us tutorials on gardening or just things to think about on gardening, and it's gotten a bit diffuse or kind of spread out. And although I've certainly enjoyed the learning experience from my end, for my ability to cope and turn things in on time, which of course is very important to me, I need to just ratchet it back a little bit. I've also been unable to show my face here for the last couple of days because I thought, how can I possibly wrap up my season on garden soil and seeds before I have even put my fingers in the dirt? This morning I finally planted my first thing. I planted an apple tree almost in our spring near our black raspberries. We're excited about it. It's going to be a lovely, lovely space. We're doing a bridge into our kind of wild patch of black raspberries. And we put an apple tree there, which was gifted to us by a channel called Skill Cult. Stephen over at Skill Cult. He grafted the apple tree himself, and I will be doing some more talking about that over on our other channel, on the Fauchematic channel. But it was great to receive the gift of a tree in the mail, and we got it into the ground this morning, and we just really hope that it will do well. I got my fingers in the dirt and I got my fingers in the worms. I have a worm bin, which we are dismantling for the summer because we're going to be away for 4 weeks. And although worms don't require a great deal of care, they don't like to get overly hot. And I don't know that the space they're in will be temperature controlled. So I went ahead and dismantled the worm bin. I gave some worms away and I took out all the castings, gave them all to this one apple tree, and I hope that they will serve it well and feed it well. I was very happy to have my fingers in the dirt as well. I was just reading an article the other day that suggested, it was reviewing some scientific research that suggested that there are microbes in the soil which have an effect similar to prescribed antidepressants. I thought that was so fascinating and such a kind of real explanation of something I've experienced from the other side. I really believe that when things are true, we find them in multiple languages. If something is true, then it will make sense in scientific language. It will make sense in spiritual language because true is true and you can see it from any number of directions. So I do believe that it is a truth that having your fingers in the soil, having your hands in the dirt can be healthy and healthful. And it certainly gave me a mood boost this morning. Although we still have snow on the ground, it was kind of near to where we were working. It's not because it isn't spring, it's just because we had so much snow this winter. It's certainly taking its time to melt and pass away. It's mud season for us now. It's the time of year that you'll walk into the house and see muddy footprints in front of you from whichever child has come in with mud on their shoes, or mud on their bare feet for that matter. It's the time when the ground is still very bare. The ground cover has not yet come up, but we are seeing the first few little greens coming up. And the kids and I have been working so hard in our plant identification that they can tell me whether the leaves are monocot or dicot by the way that the veins go parallel or spreading, net-shaped. So that's fun to be able to see. They can already spot just the green shoots of what will become the glacier lilies, the snow lilies we call them here, with the little yellow flowers that first tell us that spring is here for real.
Yep. Because I saw some.
You saw some. Sadie saw some. Okay, I'm still talking, okay? But I am here to wrap up Garden Soil and Seeds, the month of Garden Soil and Seeds in our skill club. And indeed, I do want to come back to that. As much as I love storytelling and as much as I want to be nothing but a storyteller, I started the Skill of the Month Club because I wanted to encourage right action, and I wanted to encourage all of us to take action. There's so much language, and maybe it's just right now, and maybe it's been forever. I don't know. I'm not eternal. I only have this moment to compare to. There's so much language about powerlessness and not being able to control things, to control your own destiny, to control your environment, to control your finances. There's this whole language, this whole story of you are where you are because you're stuck and there's nothing you can do, and it kind of seeps into your skin from the environment. This story of powerlessness kind of seeps in the same way that bacteria could theoretically come in to your skin through the ground when you're working in the soil. And it can make of us powerless people. It can make of us people who don't do our best, who don't stand up and make the lives we want to make, who instead just follow along on what feels easy. And that's a kind of prison. It's a kind of imprisonment. It's a thing that keeps us from being and doing what we want to do and what we want to be. And if all of us are in that prison, then we're all in that prison together and no one can step out. But if one person steps out and then another person steps out, and then we have strength in numbers, we are able to accomplish a great deal, even so much as reversing some of the problems that we have with our food supply or with powerlessness regarding what's available to us to eat or to wear or to consume in our systems of how we keep ourselves alive and safe and sheltered and clothed. So that may seem like a very heavy concept for a talk on garden soil and seeds, but in fact, I find there's nothing more inspiring than a seed or a sprout. This month, we've talked about a number of different things, and I do want to clarify for those who love to be A+ students, what was the homework? What were you supposed to take out of this month? What can you check off on your list of new skills and new accomplishments? Number 1 is sprouting. We talked about how to make sprouts to eat for winter nutrition, and we talked about how to sprout a seed to begin the process of growing a plant for gardening purposes. And of course, for the seed, that's the same process. For us, it's a little different because there are different degrees of cleanliness required or freedom from extraneous bacteria required in terms of whether it's good to eat or good to put in the soil. That's the number 1 skill. The number 1 thing to check off in your month 3 list is, can you sprout? Have you tried sprouting a seed? And I hope that many of you can say, yes, I have. The second skill was beginning a plant in a container indoors. And we focused on that partly because we're all in different climates and some of us can't do it any other way right now, but also because that gives you an opportunity to really be in charge of and close to the process that the plant is going through. When you're planting something outdoors, you go to see it. And I hope your garden is someplace you can go frequently. But if you're growing something indoors on your windowsill or on the top of your fridge or underneath a grow light on your table, you're interacting with that in a way that gives you a lot of opportunity to practice observation and to find out what are the conditions in which it goes leggy, for example. When does it get tall and weak? When is it bright green? When is it strong? So that was the second skill that we went over this month. Slightly distracting, Sadie. So the first skill was sprouting, and the second skill was talking about understanding and hopefully trying out growing some plants indoors in containers from seed. The third skill, and this I never presented as a homework assignment, was to understand something about soil. We did a whole series of videos about the Back to Eden method of gardening, no-till gardening. I may not have ever mentioned, although I do strongly believe, that the deep mulch or no-till gardening method, which is very popular now, was not created in the last 10 years, was not suddenly emergent from our minds as if, oh, we just came up with this, what a great idea. But these ideas of no-till gardening and just understanding something about soil is your week 3 homework. Do you understand why this works? Do you have some idea of how to make it work? In case you wanted to pursue no-till or deep mulch gardening, would you understand those concepts? That was your week 3. And as always, the week 4 challenge is to make a tiny change. So thinking about what is and isn't possible when gardening, I think it's very easy to set ourselves up having accidentally soaked in these feelings of powerlessness that are definitely in the air around us, having accidentally let these things seep in through the skin. It's very possible to look at the idea of growing your own food and say, I just wouldn't even know where to begin. It's impossible, I won't try. It's even easier after the first 1 or 2 or 3 times that you've killed some sprouts on your kitchen table. Even easier after you've killed some sprouts on your kitchen table and then also killed some plants by perhaps transplanting them without hardening them off, or transplanting them to a location where they didn't have enough light or didn't have enough nutrition, or by having them go down to disease or not being properly watered through the summer. There's so many things that can kill a plant. It can definitely feel like this is not even worth trying. Your week 4 challenge is to take a step, 1 step, towards being someone who can grow your own food. What is that tiny change that you can make? And I'm particularly speaking to people who don't already have that completely functional garden. Although those of you who do can always make a tiny change to make it easier for yourself or to make it more comfortable or more beautiful. If you're someone who already grows a wonderful functional garden, maybe this year plant something just for the sheer beauty of it to give your soul joy as you are in your beautiful garden. Perhaps if you're the other way around, if you're already a wonderful flower gardener, perhaps this is the year that you'll plant something you can eat just to challenge yourself in that direction. But I am going back to the beginners, going back to people for whom this may seem like an impossible dream. I've seen pictures in our Facebook group this month of someone's first sprout. More than once, a person who was able to get a seed to sprout for the first time. And I believe that that is such an important metaphor for everything we're doing here. Rejecting this story of powerlessness, rejecting this idea that we are not able to control our own destiny, and instead taking small steps to say, I got this. I got this. And I can only sit here and tell you this today because I did, in fact, take that first step this morning after my 1 more cup of coffee and my 1 more minute spent sitting here on my nice cozy rocket mass heater. I got out there, I got the shovel in the ground, I got that beneficial bacteria in my skin, and I'm feeling the satisfaction that can only come with having done the right thing, taken action to make your reality come in line with your values, or your actions come in line with your intentions. There's really nothing better. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us this month and for previous months. As I said, I'm going to pare back a little bit on the number of videos. It has been so much like drinking from a fire hose the last few weeks, but I do have nothing but gratitude to everyone who offered something this past month. I couldn't ever say no because I appreciate all these different perspectives and all this wisdom so much. I appreciate you all. Please go out there and take a 1 small step, make a tiny change towards your own future of being the gardener that you want to be, or being in control of your food supply in the way that you want to be. Thank you again for being here for the Skill of the Month Club, and we'll see you next month for Introduction to Animals. I'll see you around.